Hello, I'm Brad Smith. Welcome to Unit 3 of the Supply Chain Management course. This week we look at 6 key drivers that companies can use to implement their supply chain strategy and tailor it to that end of the responsive or efficient spectrum that we talked about earlier. And it's really the interplay of these 6 key drivers that is very important in actually implementing the strategy. The first of these drivers is the facilities that an organisation has. Where are they going to manufacture their product? Where are they going to store their product? What outlets are they going to have for their product? These are all important decisions that the organisation has to make and will determine how efficient or how responsive the organisation is. The next is the inventory levels that the organisation maintains. How much inventory are they going to keep and where are they going to keep it? Companies that like to be responsive to their customers will try and store their inventory close to the customer so that they can quickly supply. Companies that want to be efficient will try and store inventory further up the supply chain, possibly in semi-finished form so that they can minimise the amount of inventory they keep and only produce it when it's required. Next, transportation is very important. What types of transportation is the organisation going to use? Sea freight is much cheaper than air freight, but it also takes a lot longer. So an organisation that's wanting to be efficient will aim to ship large quantities using sea freight or rail freight. An organisation that wants to be responsive to its customers would choose to probably air freight a lot of its product because they can therefore distribute it much more quickly. But obviously that's more expensive. Information is another key driver, and increasingly this is becoming one of the most important drivers in the supply chain, regardless of whether an organisation wants to be efficient or responsive. For the alignment of the supply chain, it's very important that all parties along the chain are communicating well and that the end customer demand is being quickly communicated up the supply chain to all of those who have to supply. So how does an organisation implement a good information system? Obviously this is something we'll look at in a lot more detail in later units of the course. Sourcing is becoming increasingly important. The first fundamental decision that any organisation has to make is should they source the raw material, the components that they need to make a product from outside, or should they develop those skills in-house? If they decide to source from outside the organisation, then of course they have to think about where are they going to source the products. Should they source them from within the country, or should they go offshore to other countries? Which organisation should they use? How should they put in place the sourcing arrangements and so on? Again, this will have a big impact on how efficient the supply chain is and also how responsive it is. And lastly, pricing of the products and services that the organisation delivers. Pricing is a driver that is very flexible. Organisations can quickly change the price of a product, and that will quickly change the demand for their product. So again, organisations that want to be responsive find that price is one of the key drivers they can use to alter the supply and demand equation that they have. So we look at these quickly at these 6 key drivers, the interplay, and a lot of these key drivers we will revisit later on in the course and look at them in much more depth. We finish off this unit by looking at some key metrics that are used to measure each of these drivers, and also if you like, an industry standard model that's used to measure and monitor how the organisation is implementing its supply chain strategy. So that's it for Unit 3. I hope you enjoy it, and I look forward to meeting up again in Unit 4.